So I've been reading all about this Gemini AI, and I gotta say, it's pretty impressive. Like, it seems like it can do everything. Google AI is calling it the next big leap in AI. But is it just hype? Well, for this deep dive, we're going straight to the source, Google's own research paper on Gemini, to break it all down.
You know, what really stands out to me with Gemini is that it's not just processing language.
Mhm.
It's almost understanding the world the way we do. It's tackling tasks we thought were only possible for humans.
Yeah, that's a great point. But for our listeners who might not be totally familiar with all this, can we maybe back up for a second? What exactly are large language models, and why is everyone making such a fuss about them?
You got it. So think of large language models, LLMs for short, as like these incredibly powerful information synthesizers. They're trained on mountains of data, text, code, images, you name it. This allows them to understand and generate human language in ways we've never seen before. It's like having an instant expert on any topic you can imagine, ready to answer your questions, summarize complex info, or even write different kinds of creative text formats.
So you're saying these are more than just like fancy chatbots?
Oh, absolutely. This is something completely different. Earlier models, yeah, they could string words together, but they didn't really get the meaning. Gemini, though, it's different. It's like it's actually learned how to think.
Wow, okay, so that's what makes Gemini so groundbreaking. It's not just mimicking language, it's actually understanding it.
That's it. For example, take its contextual mastery. Previous models, they really struggled to keep up with longer conversations. Or more complex texts, they'd lose the thread, get confused. But Gemini, it's like it has this steel trap memory. It remembers everything you've said and uses that context to give you truly relevant and meaningful answers.
That's pretty incredible. But what really caught my eye was this multimodal thing. What does that even mean?
Ah, yes. Now, this is where it gets really exciting. Multimodal means Gemini can process different types of information all at the same time, like text, images, and audio. It's not just reading words on a page, it's understanding the visual and auditory world, too. Imagine you could show Gemini a medical image and have it analyze it along with a patient's report, or give it a piece of music and ask it to describe the emotions it evokes.
So it's not just that it can see an image, right? It can actually understand it in relation to other information. That's huge.
It is huge. This opens up possibilities in so many fields: healthcare, education, media, you name it. We could have AI systems helping doctors diagnose patients, creating personalized learning for students, or even generating truly immersive multimedia content.
Wow, I see why people are calling this a game changer. But how do they even build something this sophisticated? It almost feels like magic.
It's not magic, but it is a remarkable feat of engineering. It all starts with the architecture, the foundation of the model. Gemini uses what's called the transformer model, but Google's AI team has seriously enhanced it. It's like they took a high-performance engine
Yeah.
and strapped a turbocharger onto it.
So it's not just about building a bigger model. It's about building a smarter one.
You got it. They've optimized it to handle even more complex tasks and process information way more efficiently. But even the most brilliant architecture needs fuel. And that fuel is data. We're talking a data set so massive, it's hard to even comprehend.
Okay, so walk me through this. How do you even train something like Gemini?
Well, think of it in two phases. First, there's pre-training. They basically expose Gemini to this massive library of human knowledge: books, articles, code, anything you can think of. This gave it a very broad understanding of language and concepts.
So, like giving it a general education. But how do you go from that to world-class expert?
That's where fine-tuning comes in. They took this broadly trained Gemini and then focused its learning on specific tasks or domains. It's like sending someone to medical school or law school to specialize. This is how they get it to be so good at very specific jobs, like writing different kinds of creative content, translating languages, or even understanding your request in a search engine.
So they're basically training it to be an expert in anything they need.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But how does this multimodal training work? How do you teach a machine to understand images and sounds, along with text?
That's the real magic. They use these data sets that included text descriptions, paired with their corresponding images or audio. It's like showing someone a picture of a cat and saying, "This is a cat." Over time, Gemini learned to connect the words with the visual or auditory input, building this complex understanding of the relationship between different types of data.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. But I can imagine this must have been a technical nightmare to pull off.
Oh, you have no idea. Building and training a system like Gemini is incredibly complex. Imagine the computational power and memory required to process all that data. It's like trying to fit the entire Library of Congress onto your laptop.
Yeah, my laptop would probably just burst into flames. So how did they overcome those challenges?
The Google AI team had to come up with some very clever solutions. They used techniques like gradient checkpointing to manage the memory load and mixed precision training to make the computations more efficient. They also used distributed training, which means they split the work across multiple powerful computers so it could be done much faster.
So they basically threw all their best tech at the problem
Yeah.
and made it work. It's incredible what they've achieved. But before we get too carried away with all the amazing things Gemini can do, I think it's important to acknowledge there could be some downsides as well.
Oh, absolutely. Any technology this powerful raises important questions. We need to be mindful of the potential impact, both good and bad.
For sure. But for now, let's keep things positive. Next time, we're going to dive into some real-world case studies, straight from Google's research paper.
You are going to be blown away by what you hear. From streamlining business operations to revolutionizing education, Gemini is already making a real difference in the world.
It's going to be a wild ride. See you in part 2.
See you then.
All right, I'm ready for those case studies you promised. Last time we were talking about how Gemini is built and trained, but seeing it in action, that's what I'm really interested in.
Yeah, let's jump right in. Let's start with a story that might sound familiar. Imagine you're stuck on hold with customer service, that music playing, just making you more frustrated by the second. Well, this telecommunications company had that problem, but on a massive scale. They had tons of customer inquiries flooding in, and their support team was completely overwhelmed.
Oh, I can feel the stress just thinking about it. So what did they do?
They turned to Gemini, of course. They integrated it into their systems to handle those common questions we all have, like, where's my order? How do I reset my password? What's my current balance? Things like that.
Like a really, really smart chatbot, but better.
Way better. Gemini understands the nuances of human language in a way those old chatbots couldn't even dream of. It actually gets the context of the conversation, so the responses are accurate and relevant. No more canned responses that completely miss the point.
I bet their customers were pretty happy about that. Finally getting quick and helpful answers.
Oh, they were thrilled. They saw a huge drop in response times, which meant happier customers and fewer complaints. And it wasn't just about speed, it was about consistency too. Gemini could give accurate information across all their customer service channels: email, chat, even their phone system. So no matter how a customer reached out, they got the same high-quality support.
That's pretty smart. So they've got Gemini handling the routine stuff, and their human agents can focus on the really complicated problems.
Exactly. It's like having an army of super efficient assistants working 24/7. And because Gemini's so good at understanding what people need, it can even act like a triage system, routing those more complex inquiries to the right human agent with all the context they need. No more starting from scratch every time.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So happier customers, more efficient support team. What's not to like? But this is just one example, right? What other industries are seeing these kinds of big changes?
Let's move on to the legal world. Imagine mountains of legal documents, case law, contracts. It's a lawyer's everyday reality. But what if they had an AI assistant that could sift through all that information in seconds?
That sounds like a dream come true for any lawyer who's ever pulled an all-nighter trying to find that one crucial piece of information.
Exactly. And that's exactly what this big law firm was struggling with. Legal research was eating up all their time and driving up costs for their clients. So they integrated Gemini into their workflow, and it was a complete game changer.
So Gemini was like their super-powered research assistant.
More like a legal savant. It could analyze and summarize legal documents, find relevant case law, even identify potential risks in contracts. It was like having a team of legal experts working around the clock, but without those hefty hourly rates.
I bet the lawyers were pretty happy about that. But how much of a difference did it actually make?
The results were incredible. The firm was able to cut their research time by something like 60%, which meant their lawyers could focus more on strategy and client interaction. And because they were so much more efficient, they could take on more cases without sacrificing quality.
It's amazing how AI is changing the game for so many professions. But I'm also thinking about fields where human connection is really important, like healthcare. Can AI really make a difference there?
That's a great question, and the answer is a resounding yes. Take this regional hospital network, for example. They were facing a problem a lot of healthcare providers deal with: more and more patients, but not enough time to see everyone. Doctors and nurses were drowning in paperwork, spending hours on administrative tasks instead of focusing on patient care.
Yeah, it's tough to think about all that wasted time and the potential for burnout. So how did Gemini help?
They gave Gemini the job nobody wanted. Sifting through all those patient medical histories, lab reports, test results, Gemini could analyze all that information and give doctors these concise summaries to review before they even saw the patient, like an instant overview of the patient's situation, all the key points, without hours of reading.
So doctors could spend more time with their patients and less time with paperwork, like that.
Yeah, but it goes even further. They connected Gemini to their electronic health records system, so it could actually analyze symptoms, medical history, test results, to suggest potential diagnoses for the doctor to consider.
Wait, hold on. Gemini is assisting with diagnosis. That's incredible.
It is. Of course, it's not replacing doctors, but it's giving them valuable insights, helping them make more informed decisions, like a second opinion from a very knowledgeable colleague.
Sounds like they found a good balance between human expertise and AI assistance.
They really did. And their patients are benefiting too. Gemini can even generate these easy-to-understand explanations of medical conditions and treatments, so doctors can communicate more effectively with their patients, which leads to better understanding and better outcomes.
That's really cool. Okay, so we've seen Gemini handle customer service, legal research, healthcare. It seems like this AI can do it all, but what about something a little more fun, like shopping?
Oh, Gemini can definitely do fun. Imagine you're shopping online and you're bombarded with thousands of products. It can be overwhelming, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, this e-commerce giant was facing that exact problem. Customers were getting lost in the sea of choices, and their customer service team was struggling to keep up with the demand.
We've all been there, scrolling endlessly,
Mm.
adding things to our cart, then giving up because it's just too much.
Hmm.
So how did Gemini help them make the shopping experience better?
They integrated Gemini into their platform to personalize the entire customer journey. First, Gemini would look at a customer's browsing history, past purchases, all that data, to come up with personalized product recommendations. So instead of seeing a bunch of random products, customers would get suggestions tailored to their tastes and needs.
Like a personal shopper who knows your style better than you do.
Exactly. They also used a Gemini-powered chatbot to answer those common customer service questions like, "Where's my order?" or "Can I return this item?" And because Gemini is so good at understanding natural language, customers could just ask questions in their own words and get accurate, helpful answers.
So personalized recommendations, instant support. Sounds pretty good to me.
It was. The results were great. The recommendations led to a big increase in sales because people were finding products they actually liked. And the chatbot really cut down on response times, which meant happier shoppers all around.
Wow, okay. This is blowing my mind. We've seen Gemini in action in so many different fields, but I have a feeling there's even more to explore.
You are right. In the next part, we'll see how Gemini is being used in finance, scientific research, real estate, even employee training. Get ready for some even more amazing examples of how this AI is changing the world.
I can't wait. See you in part 3. All right, so we've seen Gemini tackle customer service, law, healthcare, even online shopping. It feels like this AI is everywhere. Where else is it popping up?
Let's dive into the world of finance. It's this fast-paced, high-stakes environment where even a tiny mistake can have huge consequences. This global investment firm knew that all too well. Their analysts were drowning in data, market trends, company reports, financial news. It was a constant flood of information.
Yeah, I bet just trying to keep up with all that was a full-time job, let alone actually making smart investment decisions.
You got it. They needed an edge, a way to process all that info faster and more accurately than their competition. So they turned to Gemini, and what they did with it was brilliant.
Okay, I'm all ears. What did they do?
Well, they basically made Gemini their super-powered financial analyst. It could go through mountains of data, pull out the important insights, and generate reports in a fraction of the time it would take a human.
So analysts could spend less time crunching numbers
Yeah,
and more time thinking about strategy.
exactly. But they didn't stop there. They even used Gemini for predictive analytics, using historical data and market conditions to forecast stock performance and find promising investment opportunities.
Wow, that's taking things to a whole new level. Did it actually lead to better investment decisions?
Oh yeah, the results were really impressive. Not only did they significantly cut down on the time spent on data analysis and reporting, but their portfolio returns also went way up. It was like having an AI crystal ball, guiding them to the most profitable investments.
I'm starting to think there's nothing this AI can't do. But what about something as complex and detailed as scientific research?
That's a great one, and it's actually close to my heart. Imagine a team of scientists working on a new drug or treatment. They're going through tons of research papers, clinical trial data, trying to connect the dots, and make groundbreaking discoveries.
Yeah, it's like solving a giant puzzle, but with incredibly high stakes. People's lives literally depend on their findings.
That's the truth, and this pharmaceutical company was dealing with that exact challenge. Their research team, super talented, but completely overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information. They needed to speed up their research without sacrificing accuracy.
So they called in the AI for backup.
They did. They brought Gemini into their research process. And it completely changed the way they worked. Gemini could scan through scientific papers and trial data at lightning speed, pulling out the key findings and summarizing them so researchers could easily understand.
It's like having an AI research assistant that never gets tired and doesn't mind reading all that dense scientific stuff.
Exactly. And because Gemini can actually understand that complex scientific language, it could even help analyze the data, finding patterns and connections that human researchers might miss.
That's amazing. So not only are they saving time, but they're potentially making discoveries they wouldn't have otherwise.
Absolutely. And to make things even better, they use Gemini to help with regulatory compliance, too. Making sure their research followed all the rules and standards.
It's incredible. We've covered finance, healthcare, scientific research. What else is there? What about something a little more everyday, like finding a new place to live?
You read my mind. This real estate platform was facing a common problem: information overload. Millions of property listings on their site. A nightmare for both buyers and sellers.
I feel that. I once spent weeks scrolling through listings online, getting more and more frustrated.
Yeah, it's rough. They needed to simplify the process, make it more efficient. So they turned to Gemini. First, they used Gemini to write property descriptions. Instead of agents spending hours trying to come up with the right words, they just put in the key features. And Gemini created a detailed and interesting description, highlighting all the best parts.
That's clever. It saves time and makes sure all their listings are consistent. But what about the people searching for homes? How did Gemini help them?
Well, they gave their search engine a major upgrade, powered by Gemini, of course. Now people could type in normal everyday language like 3-bedroom house with a yard near good schools. And Gemini understood exactly what they meant, giving them the most relevant results.
Like having a personal real estate agent who really gets you.
You got it. They even had Gemini create market reports, summarizing trends in prices, demand, all that stuff, giving buyers and sellers all the info they need to make smart decisions.
Okay, so Gemini is basically changing the way we live, work, interact with the world. But what about learning and personal growth? Can AI play a role in education and professional development?
Oh, definitely. This large company was having a problem with their employee training. Their programs were outdated and not very effective. They were using a one-size-fits-all approach, which meant some employees were bored, others were confused, and nobody was really getting much out of it.
We've all been there, stuck in a boring training session, just waiting for it to end. So how did Gemini help make the training better?
They used Gemini to personalize the whole thing. Imagine a training module that adapts to your learning, giving you more explanations or practice if you need it. That's what they created with Gemini.
It's like having your own personal tutor. Who knows exactly what you need to learn?
Exactly. And because this company had employees all over the world, they used Gemini to translate the training materials into multiple languages so everyone had the same learning opportunities.
Wow. It's amazing how AI can make learning more engaging and accessible for everyone.
It really is. But before we wrap things up, I want to mention one more application of Gemini that I think is really important: legal contract drafting.
Okay, I'll admit, that doesn't sound as exciting as, say, discovering new drugs or predicting the stock market. But I'm sure there's a lot of potential there.
There really is. Think about the legal team at a big company. They're constantly dealing with contracts, and every single one needs to be perfect to make sure everything is accurate and legal. It's a time-consuming, high-pressure job with very little room for error.
Yeah, one mistake could have huge consequences.
Exactly. So this company decided to try using AI. Any guesses who they called on?
Gemini, right.
Of course. They integrated Gemini into their contract drafting process, and it completely changed the game. Gemini could create contract drafts from templates using key terms provided by the legal team. It could even check to make sure the contracts followed all the laws and regulations, flagging any potential problems.
So it was like having an AI legal assistant.
Working with the human lawyers, making sure everything was correct and legally sound. That's right. The results were amazing. They were able to create contracts much faster. And because Gemini was so accurate, they had way fewer errors, which meant less back and forth, smoother negotiations, and happier clients.
It's incredible to see how Gemini is being used to solve real problems in so many different areas. It's clear that AI isn't some futuristic fantasy anymore. It's here, it's happening now, and it's changing everything.
And we're only just scratching the surface. As AI continues to evolve, we can expect even more creative and impactful uses of these technologies.
It's been an amazing journey exploring the world of Gemini and AI. Honestly, I'm walking away feeling both excited and a little intimidated by just how powerful this AI is.
I think that's a good way to feel. AI is a powerful tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to make sure it's used responsibly and ethically.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into Gemini and the future of AI. It's been a real eye-opener.
It's been a pleasure. And to all our listeners, if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, keep exploring the world of AI. There's so much to learn and discover. The possibilities really are endless.